Hello everyone and welcome to ZP Productions. I'm Richard here and today we'll be taking a look at this kit here. Now this is the OSEE G7 kit, and recently if you have seen my reviews, I actually reviewed something called the T7 OSEE monitor, which is exactly the same, just that that is a more consumer package edition without the SDI port, while this one has a box and a full range of accessories to make it really useful straight out of the kit itself. Rather than me talking about, let's get moving on to unboxing and actually the review of this kit. So this is an unboxing of the G7 kit. So what's the difference between the G7 and the T7, which I recently did a review on, and you can actually check out the link as I said earlier. So the G7 kit is actually more of a professional outfit, while the T7 kit is a more consumer outfit. So the difference really lies in the accessories and of course the additional SDI port on the G7 itself. The G7 is also ready to record, ready to use out of the box itself with all the necessary accessories except the battery. I would have hoped they have provided a battery to complete this kit itself, but if not, the G7 comes with everything you need to mount this on a camera, or in fact mount it however you want it with a hood and to utilize it in any environment out there. So rather than me continue talking, let's unbox this and open and see what's inside this kit itself. So firstly, you can hear the box and you can see this box. This is a hard case with a vent on top. So this is obviously a case meant for outdoor usage and definitely very, very durable. It's probably similar to one of those Pelican cases that you can really abuse and survive it. So if you open up, you can see various items inside here. And of course, this kit is very well padded. As I say, this is probably some sort of a Pelican equivalent. You can see that everything is very similar to one of those hard cases, and you can see that it has laser cutouts so that you can put your accessories around. So there's of course the usual warranty cards, which a lot of people don't read, so let's put it aside. And you can see that this is written here, G7 Ultra HD kit. And then we have the monitor here. So this is very similar to the T7 monitor. In fact, if you take a look here and you take a look at the back, it almost looks the same as the T7 I have earlier. In fact, my T7 is being used for recording, and you can see from the back they look almost the same. And if I turn to the front, they look almost the same too. The only difference is really the additional of the SDI port behind. You can see these SDI ports. So there's the SDI in and the SDI out. So this allows you to, bypass the monitor to have another device to monitor the SDI. Now, this monitor, even though it has SDI in and out, you can play from the SDI, you can play from HDMI, you can choose which stream to play from. However, from what I read, you can't pass through from SDI to a HDMI out and the other way around, which is also a HDMI in and a SDI out. That's what I read online. I do not have a professional camera because normally these kind of ports are found on cine cameras. So, if anybody have any experience, do write down in the comments below or drop me a message to let me know whether can it be done or not. Then it comes with a hood. So this G7 kit actually comes with a hood, and the hood is quite easy to attach. In fact, let me show you how to attach this. So if you see this monitor here, and then depending how you want to orientate up or down, you just have to mount this over. You can actually see grooves on the back of the monitor that tells you where the rubber bands should go. And once mounted on, you get the monitor with the hood on. Now, this hood doesn't seem to be something you can just purchase off the shelf. I don't really see it on the OSEE side. You probably can buy it by messaging OSEE itself so that you can let your T7 monitors have the same capabilities. But if not, this G7 kit comes with it. It's built into the kit itself. So the good thing of this monitor and this hood, first, if you have seen my T7 review, and I will show you again when I do some sort of testing on this monitor. that this monitor has 3000 nits of brightness. It is really bright, and if I measure it alone, I can easily attain 2007 plus, because my my measuring tool, the i1 display, do not go above that. So definitely this is a very bright monitor to start with, and if you have seen my earlier review, you know that it can be done and used outdoors. Now with this hood here, you probably can use it in any environment, dark, bright, or any form of environment you can find yourself in. Definitely this monitor will work, and you can see what is on the screen. So let me put down the monitor here and some other accessories. Of course, there's the usual power chargers and its various adapters. So one of the things that is different is this mounting plate. So this allows you to mount the plate at the back of the G7 monitor. So you can actually put the plate at the back here, and then you screw it on as such. So the thing is that, there's no actually power connection pins on this V-mount. So you still have to utilize the D-tap cable, which they also provided. So this is a D-tap cable. This allows you to connect a V-mount battery, and then you tap it directly to this monitor itself. Now there is pros and cons of mounting a V-mount battery directly at the back of a monitor. And there's of course pros and cons using a V-mount battery. Firstly, V-mount battery do come in a lot of shapes and sizes. The biggest capacity one easily beats the N970 any day, and V-mount batteries do charge a lot quicker. So definitely it is better to use a V-mount battery in most situations to me than the MP970 if you have them at hand, and I do have a few of them. So definitely a V-mount option is much better than using the MP970 version. Now the original T7 kit do give this D-tap cable too, and you just need to find a way to mount the battery onto your tripod or something rather than at the back of your monitor. So the last thing that they gave, which is really different, and I do hope that they have gave it in the original kit, is this mounting system for the monitor itself. This allows you to mount the monitor in any direction you want, and in fact if you take look at some of my videos I shot recently, so I utilized the G7 monitor onto my Olympus camera, and I could mount it in various ways, front, back, side, some to even allow my talents to see what is being recorded here. And I'm just doing that video for a behind the scenes shoot for one of my workshops. So definitely this arm is really useful, and it doesn't come with the T7 kit. Now this arm is really high quality, and if you want to purchase a similar one, it doesn't come really cheap. It's probably a good 40-50 Sing dollars if you want to buy something of this quality. So that's pretty much the box opening. So let's go through a bit on the specs of this monitor. So if you have seen my T7 kit, I don't really want to talk too much on the physical dimension, because it's really similar. The only difference is of course the SDI input. Other than that, earlier said this is some sort of a polycarbonate body. So I went online to read after my T7 review, and so this is actually a plastic, which is actually polycarbonate, a very strong material used in a lot of cameras today. And underneath this polycarbonate there are aluminum plates, which actually reinforces the entire structure. So this is definitely a very strong and durable structure. So that is pretty much it for this monitor itself. So now let's boot up this monitor and have a look at the software inside, which I believe is really close to T7, because when I utilized it recently, I really can't find a difference between using this and the T7. Currently, this test is about measuring the brightness of the monitor that we have here. So previously, if you have seen in my T7 review, that monitor actually scores a 2.7K nits, more than that, using this meter here, which is the i1 display, probably the industry standard when it comes to calibration and measurement of monitors out there. So if you measure this monitor here now, you will see that it scores 173 something there CD per meter square. So what it means that it is about 171 nits, 173 nits. That is a direct conversion. So now this monitor here, you can see that is actually at brightness 5. And if we do measure brightness 5, it actually scores 800 plus nits. Now 800 nits is very bright, because this 800 nits equivalents to about something like an iPhone at max brightness, which is quite the industry standard when it comes to outdoor viewing of a mobile monitor. So how bright can this monitor go? So we change the brightness, we shift it all the way to 10. So once again, one thing I like to emphasize about this monitor is that it has a true brightness capability, which means it brightens and darkens the monitor itself. And that is very important because unlike some other monitors, they cheat by just, raising and reducing the white point in the monitor, which actually skews the color a lot, while this actually has a proper backlight system. So at max brightness, this is what you see. It's so bright that, in the current recording, it's washed out in a lot of parts of the monitor. So let's take a meter and we try measure again. And as we go closer and closer, it throws an error. If we pull it out a bit, it measures like 2.6K, 2.6K, 2.7K, throws an error. So this monitor essentially is as bright as the T7, which is not a surprise because it is exactly the same system as the T7 itself when it comes to display. So definitely a bright monitor, definitely lives up to its specification of 3000 nits. So now let's take a look at the software itself and how does it compare with T7, or is there even a difference itself? This last part of the review here, and this talks about the software front of the G7 monitor itself. So the hardware is pretty much no different except for the inclusion of SDI. So this time I can actually show you a closer look, the SDI port itself. And what I'm doing now is doing a HDMI pass-through from my T7 monitor, which is at the side here. You can see, if I put side by side, they look essentially the same with the same marking. The only difference is only visible at the back where you actually see the SDI port and of course a label that says G7 and T7. If not, essentially the same if you just take a look from the front. So let's look at it again from the software point of view, and just to note, there is some difference because there has SDI. So there is actually a function with SDI here. I don't have an SDI capable video camera, so I can't show you the function. If not, essentially it is the same, and there are some things I didn't touch on the last time for the software. I will touch on it today here. So if you just push to the left itself, this is where you pull out the main hidden menu, and there are all the important things inside here. The very important stuff you need to know is the anamorphic, which allows you to have the squeezing function. If your video camera doesn't have it, this screen does it for you. Then the ability to control volume, it has a built-in speakers, and I normally would just reduce it to 0 because it does create some interference. There is ability to change the language of the monitor and calibrate the monitor and load a firmware on it. So there is of course the load LUT function also, and you can load LUT in the SD port here. Now this load LUT function is important if you are using cameras such as the EOS R, because the Canon lock in 8-bit mode is actually not supported natively in this monitor. So if you use Canon lock on the 8-bit LUT, which is what Canon outputs in Full HD and 2K video, you probably need to load a LUT here. If not, you get some really weird colors. Some other things you can use with it is of course the Olympus cameras. Olympus lock is actually not built into this monitor, and you have to load it if you want to use the Olympus lock. Okay, that is so much it for the monitor menu. So now let's look at the video analysis function in this monitor itself. So in terms of video analysis function, this monitor pretty much has the same as the T7, but let us go through it once more, and I'll show you a few extra things that I noticed since the last time I played with the T7 itself. So firstly, there is the monitor, the functions itself, by just clicking it right side, clicking left side. You notice that there's something that's changing. It looks really different. So there is this function called Scene, and I didn't really talk about it too much in the last reviews. Scene allows you to save a bunch of settings for each individual monitor viewing, be it what kind of analysis tool you're using, does it has grids, what kind of locks you're using, and all this can be saved in the individual scenes, and this monitor do support up to 8 scenes. And to create a scene is very simple. Just press right, just hold the joystick right, and then it will launch the add new set, and you press OK, and you will see that a scene tree is created below. So now with this scene itself, let's load up again. With scene tree itself, let us have a look at what functions there are available in scene tree. So we can add a new tool like you have seen earlier in the reviews, and you can add some functions in. So let's go through some of the very essential ones again. So it says crosshatch, which allows you to put some sort of grids on the screen. Okay, you can have different type of grids and different type of densities of grid. Okay, and then you can remove one of the settings by just going it and dump it in the bin and just confirming it itself. Okay, so that is one of the functions, crosshatch. And now let's look at other tools itself. So there is force colors. So force colors, there is the full spectrum type of force color, which pretty much makes your screen a very, very colorful thing, except for this little panel here. For some reason, it has force colors not applied to it. Right, very, very colorful. It literally tells you where is overexposed and where is underexposed, and where do you need to note. Like, the whole center of screen, of course, is overexposed because you're looking at the screen itself. It's really, really bright, but the rest of it below and around the screens are pretty much fine. And in fact, you look at the GFX behind here, it's dark. Okay, force colors. And if you add new tools in, you can see there's zebras. And zebras can set at different levels. You can select which level you want. And normally, let's say if you do it for skin tone, there'll be something like 70 or 75. Personal 70. Okay, so anything that's overexposed for the skin is going to get zebra. Okay, it looks pretty fine to me actually. Okay, zebra. So the next thing that you want to look at is below, then there is histogram. So histogram is of course a very rudimentary function. I personally prefer waveform than histogram any day. And so currently the histogram is doing something weird here. But histogram, there is two versions. There is the Luma histogram and there is the RGB histogram. And you can see the histogram actually is really live. It shifts as you move. So this processor inside this monitor is pretty fast. You can really update really, really quick for its histogram. And then of course you can put in different location and set in different opacity. We'll just leave it on the top right hand first and then we'll show you the rest. And then let's look at waveforms. This is now the most useful function to me, and this is the Luma waveform. I thought to tell you where is bright and where is dark in the scene. Obviously the monitor is in the center and you can see that it's totally overexposed here for a lot of part of the scene. And you can actually go in the RGB mode or the Luma mode. So there you can see there's different modes for the waveforms themselves. So this is a parade waveform. Or you can have just the RGB waveforms. And then we have vector, which actually is a vector scope. And you can see here, how is it exposed. Okay. Vector scope wise, there isn't much function, just on and off and its location. And then if we continue looking downwards, there is the picking and focus assist. I don't really use them because I use a lot of autofocus on my videos. And then we have audio meter, which you can actually on it and you'll see audio meter below. Lastly, there is actually a tool that I didn't cover on much. I just talk about it briefly. That is the image resize. And what image resize do is that it scales your image so that you have some black around it, and then you can put the scopes. And for example, the vector scope could be a lot bigger this way. Not the vector scope, it's the waveform I mean. So with this smaller screen, you can actually put a much larger waveform right in the bottom here, above the audio meter, but below the video. So let's change the size to large, and then you can see it stretching across the entire screen. And then we shift the vector scope to the mid-right. So what you now see is the full OSEE video analysis capability, and actually OSEE does sell it on their website itself. This is the full video analysis capability, which is all the various scopes, ability to put zebras and histograms and waveforms and force colors, everything to monitor the video to ensure you get your perfect recording. So this is definitely a very, very good function. So this is of course scene 3, and now if let's load some other scenes themselves. So if you look at scene 2, right, it looks different. Firstly, the screen has rescaled to full, but there is now the crosshatch, and all the scopes are actually transparent. So if you look at screen 3, right, it actually even loads a lock in it. So essentially, it looks very different from the previous videos. And if you look at scene 1, similarly, there is most of the things are disabled. because I was using it to measure stuff just now. But you know, if you enable every single thing, you have a full video analysis capability again, but just that now it's overlaid on top the main video itself. And you know, you can just swap between the scenes, like scene 3 again to get this screen, or scene 1 to get this screen. So this is a good function of the scene itself, and as I say, every scene can have their own individual LUT loading. So let's see how to load a LUT in. So in the load a LUT, you have to, let's clear away one of the functions. Let's clear away zebra. And then let's load a new tool, which is the look here. So what this tool does is that it allows you to load LUTs from a variety of camera profiles, and there's quite a bit built into this monitor itself. As I said, some of the things not built in is, for example, Canon log for 8-bit and the Olympus log. But you know, it pretty much has every single log you can think of: DJI, Fuji, GoPro, JVC, RED, Panasonic, Sony S logs, and Canon logs itself. So if you know your logs are not inside here, just do a side loading through SD card and you will get it functional. I think you have seen some of my tests I did. So I think I did things like my brightness test. I've shown you how the menu system works. But overall, this G7 kit is very similar. I can't emphasize how similar it is to the T7 monitor itself. Now, there is a price difference between this kit and the T7 kit. I believe you can go online and search yourself. And this price difference is really justified by a few things. By the packaging, which is the hard case, the various accessories, which add together isn't going to be cheap. And of course the SDI, and if you do use a professional monitor, you probably want to invest in the kit itself, because this is a non-variable. You cannot find alternatives to it. But other than that, it is very similar. And if you ask me who should purchase this monitor now, with the inclusion of the hood, the V-mounts, this is definitely a more professional outfit. And if you do own a V-mount battery, you want to mount this anywhere you go, definitely this kit does give you better options. And especially with the SDI now, you can utilize it better with any of the cine cameras out there. Other than that, there really is not much difference. And you know, if you're just a consumer, you may want to just go and purchase the T7 kit. But if you are a professional and you want a really bright monitor that works in any conditions itself, do consider this G7 kit, because you know, with its professional accessories and you know, all its functions, ability to just load profiles, get your viewing and monitoring tools out, and switching between the different profiles itself to quickly load up the one that best suits the scene. This monitor has it all and definitely is a good investment. Now, other than that, there's nothing much to talk about this OSEE G7 monitor. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do like my video and like my reviews, do like and subscribe to this below. And you know, see you next time for more reviews and tutorials on my channel. Hope you enjoy this, and bye bye.